Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a balanced rack, but too many high-scoring tiles for there to be a bingo. So I can play Jakes, which burns the S but gets the K doubled. Not a great rack leave, but I think the score is pretty good. And Jakes takes a T at the end. Pretty grim rack, only one vowel. I may need to change, but there are no duplicates here, so I may play through this. I have on my rack. Heft takes a Y, may take an E at the end, not totally sure on that. Now I can play Fainham. Gets rid of a lot of junk, but the entire rack is junk, so what's left is pretty grim. But 20 points is enough to justify playing rather than changing. Wow, still only one vowel. What to do? And these tiles, although there are no duplicates, they lack synergy, so I'm going to struggle to play off many of them. But it still feels slightly too good to change. I note that my H or P can go after the U, and my I underneath. But not too many spots to play on this board, so opponent may well play in that spot or to the left of Fainham. Really seeing very little on this rack. Do I have anything down from the J? Well, nothing spectacular because I have only the one vowel. And I'm not seeing anything to play around heft. Wow, great bingo for opponent. Except it's not a bingo. Look, only 13 points. Fantastic. And my H spot remains available. I think the best I can do here is hip. I'd like to split up B and V, but I'm not seeing a way of doing that. What about playing to the left? Well, nothing goes in front of M. Hip takes a T at the end. Wow, look how grim this rack leave is, but 33 points is half a bingo. Great, I draw some vowels. But still, well, the same situation, no duplicates, but miles away from a bingo, which is quite unusual. B, U, and V are the culprits with this rack. I'm really going to struggle to play off all of them. Row H available for a 6-letter play, beginning with a vowel. I don't have one of those. So I'm probably looking to play off 2 out of B, U, and V. And I can play Bivia through the eye of Windiest. Not going to score very much. But the rack leave of UND, not bad. The N certainly helping the U. Vips is good, but not without the S. I have a 60-point lead, but it doesn't feel like a great lead since this rack is so limited in terms of its scoring potential. From an M, I would have Movin. I have Unbid on my rack. Yeah, if I can get rid of 2 out of BUV, what's left doesn't look too bad. So where else can I look? I don't have a T or an S for going after hip. Just wondering if there are any BUV words that are available to me, but I haven't seen one so far. I'm looking at the J. DUH is good. Well, another tile turnover play by opponents. Just 36 points, which actually isn't bad. So this is what I was looking at. It's slightly dangerous. Opponent could have a 50-point 5-letter play, but only the X goes above the I, so the worst that can happen, well, and the Q, but then I and U don't go above the A, so that's a false Q spot in terms of scoring twice. So I think the worst I'm looking at is Xenia. 17 points. Well, I do now have duplicates, but look at this, even more non-bingo-y, non-synergetic tiles in the G and the U. However, I'm sure once I've gotten through this, what's left in the bag should generate some good bingo potential. The opponent's been turning over tiles, so he's more likely to have one of the blanks. Yeah, 44 points, that's towards the high end of what Bivia was risking. I would have uncaged through an E. Now, what do I have in the top of row A? Do I have anything with my G above this U? Well, Gung. That's quite nice. From Gung Ho. 36 points and totally clears the rack out of junk. I draw the second V, and I'm still a mile away from a bingo. I haven't had an E since the opening rack. I would have addictive through unspaced, or through spaced out I and E. Just 1 point between us, so pretty close game. Zol only takes an S. The T spot for hipped has been massively inhibited. Now, what about column 8 at the bottom? I have a D and T, which can go next to PO. So I have Diva. That's not bad. Splits up the duplicate and burns the V. Now, surely I can have a half-decent rack. No, I don't. Totally unbalanced. Just the one vowel. And my lead just 40 points. So, any hot Y spots on the board? Not that I can see. The triple letter square underneath the O, only really available for the Y to play once. Well, I keep on expecting to be on the receiving end of a bingo from opponents, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, I note when I played Diva, actually I did also have Addict in row H, retaining the V for 38 points, so very close to the Diva score. But I think Diva a better play. So, what can I do here? I'd like to turn over tiles. Very few scoring spots on the board. No E for going underneath the R of Doodler. I'm wondering if I've got a play through the A. That would take out a pretty good bingo lane. And the A also gives the most scope for turning over tiles. So I have Cagey. What a grim score that is. I have Dactyl. That's slightly better. But still grim. But 2 blanks still to come. 13 points. And I'm setting up a nice S lane. And Geo isn't a great rack leave, so surely I can do better than that. Well, I can play Dayglow, which only takes a W, not an S. 12 points and a much better rack leave. I am minded to play this. Wow, look at that. Manna from heaven. Absolute dream rack. Surely I am bingoing now. So, what do I have? Well, the left-hand side of the board, no bingo lanes at all. Let me consider Dayglow. I don't have a bingo with the blank as a W. What about column 15? What goes after double E? K, no bingo there. L, no. N, no. That's it. So, do I have a bingo with the blank as an S? Or S in second place? Triceps. Well, that doesn't go. And does triceps have an anagram? Not that I can think of. Well, maybe I should identify bingos and see if they go. And what floaters do I need to consider? Let me just put this back. So, anything immediately obvious which ends in L. Well, that looks close. Well, it hasn't come to mind, but I need to keep the L in mind. What about the O? Less obvious, or less likely to be a bingo ending in O than L. And there's the T of windiest available for bingos in row I. Well, this isn't looking good. What a shame. This looked an immense rack. Still 12 minutes on my clock. I am going to spend time looking for a bingo, and I, in particular, have in mind bingos ending in L. So this is prelatic and particle, but they don't end in L. Not seen anything so far. Still nothing. That looks hopeful. Percy Cott through an S. That's the triceps rack, but I'm not seeing anything which plays. Well, how frustrating. I am really seeing nothing. And this is a dream rack. What about a bingo beginning LI or with TLI in it? No, not seeing anything. So what to do? What to do? Really hard to break up a rack which is so bingo-y. But I'm going to have to. And what a shame if there is a bingo here. I am so reluctant to leave this rack alone. Just wondering about bingos beginning with E. Well, ectropic, that's an 8. No, not seeing anything beginning with E or R blank E. I have receipt on my rack through an E or with the blank as an E. Okay, so 9 minutes on my clock, 28 tiles to come. I'm going to have to do something. And I do lead, but only by 8 points, so what a critical moment. Do I just play off the P and have one shot at fishing for a bingo. Quite tempting. And should I try day glows? Let me check it down here. Invalid. Okay, I'm going with lip for 8. And that's a pretty good pickup. So, do I have a bingo? Well, not ending in W. And opponent does bingo, not really surprising. We've burnt our way through most of the junk, and opponent has obstructed the board. Only 8 minutes on my clock. Let me consider column 15. Bingo's beginning with K, no. L, no. N, no. That's it. So there's a 7-letter lane in column 13. Surely I have something here. So I have receipt, but that doesn't play. A scribe will take a D. Tierst recited and an S. What's this rack with an S? Serites. I think there are some others, not certes. No, so let me look. What about terebic? If that's good, then I certainly save time. And it is fantastic. So I am back in the lead, but only by a sliver. And the board's quite blocked, which is, I think, fairly good. Still UWX, non-bingo-y tiles. And the board's super tight for putting in any more bingos. But look at this, I have a super unbalanced rack. 6 vowels, no scoring tiles. Opponent probably or doesn't need a bingo to win. How am I going to score with this rack? I'm looking at the V to see if I have anything across here, but I don't. Nothing with the J. Gosh, this is a grim pickup. And I'm really reluctant to change. Look at this. The remaining tiles are all 1-pointers apart from W and X. This is a very unusual game, which opponent will put to bed if he bingos. Column 15 still available, but only for bingos beginning with L. And with 1-point tiles, you normally look around the board for where the scoring tiles are. And I'm struggling to see spots where I can score. So, super unusual game. I guess, well, I was going to say I have double A next to terebic with the B as a blank, so that's a pathetic score. My O can go in front of B, E. I would like to turn over tiles, but not at the expense of opening bingo lanes. I can see I have area and area E on my rack. Annoyingly, there's one S to come, otherwise I could play area E in column 14. Opponent opening the board up. What to do about this? 6 vowels left out of 18 tiles. So 6 minutes on my clock. Opponent has opened a bingo lane. L goes next to iron. And nothing else does, so that's a selfish hook. Let me see what area E looks like. If opponent's got a bingo with the L, I've lost. Area E allows bingos beginning ST. Only 15 points, an opponent may score in that spot, so I'm not a big fan of that. Can I do anything about this I? No, I don't think I can. Lipo is good. I'm really facing a situation where I just can't score with this rack. Well, maybe the answer is to play Airy E. And trust to luck. Maybe opponents opened that bingo lane without the L. Maybe he doesn't have an L bingo. "5 minutes on my clock." No HE vowel words. Airy just doesn't feel great. It just makes it so easy if opponents got the S for him to score 30 or 40 points. And then there's just nothing I can do. Even if I draw the W or the X, there aren't any great spots. But I've got to play something with this rack. Lipe. Does that take an A? Yes, it does. So, what about this? 12 points, providing nothing, apart from maybe an EX spot. I'm going with this. And I draw an X. And the S. What a shame. If I'd played Airy E, I would have the itis spot. Brutal. However, it does mean, well, I was going to say if opponent bingos, I've got some hope with the X and the S, but I don't think I do. An opponent doesn't bingo, he leaves one in the bag and he's not going to bingo, and he leads by 14. And look at this, absolute dreamboat city. A, X, E, 55 points. Bang! And how annoying, I draw one of the two remaining vowels, which means I'm not going to go out in one, and I only lead by 40. But surely that is enough. Surely. What damage can I do with my S? Well, I have Rose. 19 points. That might be just enough for me to scrape home. Wow. Ah, I have Rusa. So, and Scion is good, I think. Sion. So I think I actually have an out at the moment. Do I have a second one? Gosh, close because of ERR. Well, not close. EO, not good. And Rusa remains available if it's good. Let's find out. No, it's not. That's a shame. So much for the flourish. Wow, an opponent did quite well. Loft for 26, but he's burnt all his vowels, so I need to be careful here. Only 3 minutes on my clock. I am not going out, but I only lead by 15. I must be sure that opponent doesn't have a big W play, and I must be careful I don't set one up for him. I've got a Rose. 21 points. That is going to extend my lead to about 36 points. Opponent can't go out in one, and I'm surely going out with RO. I have Row, and I have Core, and I'm not setting up a big W spot. I am going with this. Have I overlooked something? The Dayglow W's Hook has been blocked. Now, just 2 minutes on my clock. Where's my best OR spot? 12 in row B. And 10 for core. What a strange game. So many tight racks, and then I was expecting it to explode into action, but actually all we had was an exchange of a solitary bingo on back-to-back moves, and that was it. And look at this, neither of us even close to 400. So 10 minutes on opponent's clock. I don't think he can win. He's got NOW, but he can't score any more than 14 points in that spot. Great, just 7 for Wilt. My row spot remains available. And nothing better set up. And the final score, 350 for my opponent, 395 for me, a winning margin of 45 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. What a game, great fun. So it was me to go first, and I played Jakes, that looks fine. Opponent's rack plays Heft. Now I play Fainham for 20. I didn't like the score in Rackley, but nothing obviously better. I think Vamp is too much of a score drop. And this is where opponent plays Windiest, which I thought was a bingo, but fortunately wasn't. Bind High, C3. Wow, that's nice. That is nice. What did I do? I play Hip for a bigger score, but a much worse rack leave. Opponent's rack plays Doodler. And this was grim. D10 Bavin, while stopping 1 square short of column 15. Not great. And instead I played Bivia for 17, setting up quite a hot spot in row B. So I'm dropping 9 points. Yeah, tricky to compare those two, but I wouldn't be surprised if my move was suboptimal. And opponent, although he scored well, did need to burn the S to do so, and had I have played Bavin, he would have had the S for column 15. Now, my rack, and I have Gung for 36, which is clearly better than Gang, since it gets rid of the U. And opponent has the blank, plays Zol, and this is the spot where I saw Addict, but I saw Addict after making my play of Diva, but on balance I still like my play of Diva. Although CDT is 3 consonants, they're 3 nice consonants, and V is not great in comparison. Wow, I thought there might be a bingo here. There isn't. Opponent plays Chin. And this is the point where we've been playing for quite a while, and I've made several plays. There are only 35 tiles left, and my rack has just persistently failed to mature into anything remotely close to a bingo. And there are games like that, and those are generally the games which you go on to lose, and that is pretty much how I felt at this time. So although I have a slight lead, it's really no lead at all, and this is a really grim rack. And I make a pretty, well, what I felt was a poor play, because it was only 12 points. But it took out a bingo lane and doesn't take an S, so there was some thought behind it. Yold G11 because of Hefty. Yeah, that's quite nice. 10 more points. Yeah, I just think generally that's quite nice. Now, opponent's rack, so he doesn't have a bingo and probably wouldn't have had one through the A. And suddenly, everything changed with this rack, and I was delighted, but I couldn't see a bingo. Missed bingo! Wow! E11. Re-script down from the R of Doodler. What a miss! Unbelievable. There it was. I didn't see it, but it was the only bingo, so tricky to spot. And I play lip for 8 to fish for a bingo next turn. Now, opponent gets his bingo down and takes a good lead. But I have terebic, which brings me back into the game, and all other bingos in the same spot. I lead by 11. An opponent not a million miles away from a bingo, but on a super non-bingo-y board. Plays iron, so he played iron from here with no L. Interesting. And this was my horror show. E14, this is what I was toying with. Really tempted to play airy E. And I wimped out of that and went for area, a similar score. And I think area's a better play. There's absolutely no reason to gift opponents an S spot. Now opponent without earn, nowhere for it, plays nature for 24 and takes the lead. So I trail by 14, but I have the X and I have axe for 55. So I'm now in a pretty strong position. The bag is empty. Opponent plays loft and no bingo, but I do have a rose for 21, which was enough. Opponent plays wilt. And finally, row for 12 was the best outplay. So what a fantastic game. It just felt very different to most games or most other games. And I know because the board is finite and the letter distribution is finite, you can't really be surprised by any game in Scrabble. So it's not a ridiculous element of surprise in this, but it just was super tight and very limited bingo opportunities. I did miss rescript, but apart from that, there were no missed bingos, and it was a super tight board. So delighted to come out on top after such a close and cagey encounter. Many thanks to my opponent for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.